Another Tuesday night, another fight night preview. UFC Vegas 55, Holly Holm, Keelan Vieira, very top-heavy card leading into another pay-per-view event. Holly Holm coming into this fight on a 2-fight winning streak. She beat Raquel Pennington and Irene Aldana via decision. She's 14-5 overall, 8 wins by knockout in MMA. She's 33-2 as a professional kickboxer, with both her losses being by knockout and 24 of her 33 kickboxing wins via decision. She is the same height as Vieira, but she has a 2-inch reach advantage. Vieira is coming into this fight with a black belt in jiu-jitsu and judo. She's 12-2 as a professional, never been submitted in her professional career. 6-2 in the UFC, with her only losses being a decision loss to Yana Kunitskaya and a knockout loss to Irene Aldana in 2019. That would have been 3 years ago. So, of course, the Holly Holm fight with Irene Aldana happening much more recent. Excuse me. Vieira's biggest wins of her career. Let me just do something really quick. The biggest wins of Keelan Vieira's career happened to be against Ciara Eubanks and Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate was November of 2021, which was her last fight. I think it's really tough to say, man. It's tough to kind of analyze this person is this good because they beat this person, or this person is this good because they beat this person. But what we can tell about common opponents is that Irene Aldana was able to knock out Keelan Vieira. Yana Kunitskaya was able to neutralize Keelan Vieira to win a decision, whereas Holly Holm was able to outstrike someone in Irene Aldana. And if she can keep this fight standing, she is very, very dangerous to Keelan Vieira. -240, the favorite. I'm going Holly Holm via decision. Santiago Ponzinibbio, Michel Pereira is in the co-main event. This is very even money, very close fight in my opinion. Ponzinibbio 28-5 professional record with 15 wins by knockout. He's 6-0 by submission in his professional career. He's 10-4 in the UFC, but he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He lost a split decision to Jeff Neal at UFC 269 in December. And then his last win right before that was a decision over Miguel Bieza in June of last year. He's a great counter striker, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He kind of hits a little harder for that division, but I think his biggest strength is his counter striking and being able to slip the jab and come back with his right hand. He's going against Pierre, who's a very dynamic, unique striker. Pierre is a black belt in jiu-jitsu and karate. He's 27-11-2. Currently on a 4-fight winning streak right now. He started his UFC career with a flash knockout over Danny Roberts. Roberts also a great counter striker, but he flash knocked him out. I think it was a flying knee or something like that. He then got wrestled to a decision loss against Tristan Connolly, who took the fight on short notice. Tristan Connolly is a natural featherweight, went in there and wrestled, got Pierre tired, and was able to beat him by decision. Then he got disqualified against Diego Sanchez via illegal knee. And then his win streak started. He beat Zelim Emirov, who, of course, that was a very, I guess not controversial, but they didn't like each other. And Pierre had some, or Emirov had some things to say about Pierre leading into the fight, and Pierre open hand slapped him like 50 times throughout the fight. So he also beat Chaos Williams, Nico Price, and Andre Fijalo in his most recent fight. I think, with this fight being even money, I think it's going to come down to Pierre in his most recent fights looked very controlled and was very calculated in his striking. If he comes in like that, I think it's a very, very close fight. It's probably going to be a split decision no matter who wins, because it's going to be, the numbers are going to be very close. They'll probably strike for the entirety of the fight, and they're going to be very close. It's going to go back and forth, and one might hurt the other, and the other one might hurt the other one. So with that being said, I think if he doesn't and he tries to be, flashy and get win bonuses again, like in his first fight, I think the counter striking of Santiago Ponzinibbio will definitely prove to his avail, and he'll be able to probably get a knockout, honestly, against Michel Pereira. With that being said, being a very close fight, I think the one clear path to victory is Pereira trying to do his flashy spin kicks and things like that, and Ponzinibbio counter striking him and winning either a decision or a TKO. So I'm going to go Santiago Ponzinibbio there. Eric Anders. Now, there's a couple fights on the main card I didn't do. I did 2 more fights. I did one more fight that was on the main card, and then I did one fight that was on the prelims that I really, really enjoyed that I wanted to talk about a little bit. So we did Eric Anders versus Park Jun Young. Anders coming into this fight 14-6-1 as a pro, 6-6-1 in the UFC. Moved to light heavyweight in June of last year. Got a decision win over Darren Stewart in his light heavyweight debut. And then in his most recent fight, he lost via submission to Andre Muniz. He's got 8 wins via knockout, 5 wins via decision. 4 out of 6 of his losses, though, are also via decision. So his gas tank kind of comes into question later in the fights. He's got good wrestling background. He wrestled in college. Great power in his strikes, especially since he's moved to light heavyweight. His leg kicks, they sound crazy. He's got good body kicks. He's got good punches. He's overall a very, very powerful guy. He's going up against Jun Young, who is 13-5 as a professional with 5 wins via knockout and 3 wins via submission. He's 3-2 in the UFC. He lost his debut to Anthony Hernandez, and then he also lost his most recent fight via knockout to Gregory Rodriguez. His 3 wins in between those 2 losses were against Marc-Andre Barriot, John Phillips, and Tafun Noswishi. How the fuck you say his name? I wish Ian was here. Ian has got the pronunciations down, especially with the African fighters. So whatever his name is, he also beat him as well. He's only had 2 losses prior to getting into the UFC, and one of those 2 losses was against Shakvat Rakhmonov in 2016 prior to getting into the UFC. So, I mean, if you're looking at this, you got 4 losses on your record. 3 of those 4 losses were against high-level guys in that belong in the greatest promotion in the world. And then one guy, was very early in his career, was like second or third professional fight. So this guy is not one to be slept on. He also has power in his hands. Of course, great grappling. He's got 3 wins by submission in his career. I'm just going to go Park Jun-Jung just because Eric Anders, once he's taken into those later rounds, he's always shown that even his middleweight days where he wasn't carrying around so much weight, he kind of started to fade a little bit going into those later rounds. And now he doesn't have to cut as much weight. He's carrying a little bit more weight into the fights. I think that's just going to show a little bit more. So I'm going to go Park Jun-Young. Is his name Jun Young Park? Because, I mean, I thought Jun Young Park, was a prominent middleweight, but Park Jun Young, I had never heard of him before this, and they were like, and I seen this shit about him fighting Barriol and John Phillips and Novici. I was like, dude, I should have definitely seen this guy fight before. So I think that's Jun Young Park. But either way, however the fuck you want to say his name, I know they do last name first, whatever. Fuck it. I'm picking him. Probably by TKO, I'd say later rounds. So the one prelim fight I did here was Jailton Amelia versus Parker Porter. Jailton Amelia coming in as a minus 650 favorite, very, very high favorite, likely because he has a 3-inch height and a 4-inch reach advantage over Parker Porter, and he is just dangerous when he's been in an octagon. He's 15-2 as a professional, 100% finish rate, 6 knockouts, 9 submissions, won his contract via submission over Nazardine Nazardinov in Dana White's Contender Series of 2021. He then went on to TKO Danilo Marquez in his UFC debut in February. He's looking to carry over that win streak into this fight with Parker Porter. Like I said, heavy hands, big, heavy leg kicks he's got, and a great grappling game. If the fight hits the mat, no questions asked. Jailton Amelia is going to have easy work with him. Parker Porter, 12-6 as a pro, 3-1 in the UFC, lost his debut to Chris Daukaus via TKO. He is now on a 3-fight winning streak, winning decisions over Josh Parisian, who hadn't fought in, 2 or 3 years since The Ultimate Fighter. Chase Sherman, who is back and forth in the UFC. They want to cut him. They want to keep him. Who knows? And then Alan Bato, who's a good win. But, I don't think that 3-fight win streak should hold any kind of water towards Jailton Almeida. He's 4-0 via decision. 2 out of 5 of his losses prior to him getting into the UFC were against Gabriel Gonzaga and the former light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. So the guy's had a pretty good UFC career, minus that one blemish. And then out of his 5 losses prior, one of them is to one of the best light heavyweights to ever fight. And then and also a former heavyweight in Gabriel Gonzaga, former heavyweight champion of the UFC in Gabriel Gonzaga. So a lot of high-class talent. I'm not trying to take a lot away from Parker Porter. I know he's got power in his hands. He's a great brawler, but Jailton Amelia, I think, is going to make pretty quick work of Parker Porter. The 2 main card fights, well, at least they say they're on the main card. You never know what's going to happen once you get close to the fight, but they say they're on the main card that I did not preview was Dusko Tordovich and Chihidi Najokani. I don't know. Mainly the reason I didn't do that fight is because I couldn't pronounce his name and I didn't want to have to say it over and over and over again. But that one, and then Polyana Viana versus Tabitha Rucci. Also is one that I didn't preview that I think is going to be a good fight. Tabitha Rucci, always a great women's prospect to look forward to. Joseph Holmes be taking on Alan Adamaski on the prelims. Check out these three names back to back here. Omar Morales taking on Uros Medic. Vince Morales taking on Jonathan Martinez. And then Felipe Corrales taking on Chase Hooper. Leading off the first fight of the night is going to be Sam Hughes versus Elise Reed. I know that fight was supposed to happen a few times in the past. Hopefully it does happen this weekend. We always like seeing a Dutch Fork High School alum, Sam Hughes, get in there and mix it up in the UFC. So shout out to her. Hope she does really good. Let's hit this up real quick just to see. I can't fucking stand. I got to get a big-ass light out here. We got too many dark spots up in this motherfucker. But anyway, let's look into what is next. List of UFC events. Stay tuned. You guys come back in about 15 minutes. We're going to be recording a conference finals check-in for the NBA. I think we're down to the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks, and Golden State Warriors. So tune in about 15 minutes. We'll be going over that. June 4th, I think that means we skip a week this weekend. Yeah, so we skip the week of the 28th. We go straight to June 4th, which is not a pay-per-view. I thought it was going to be a pay-per-view, but it is not. It is one more fight night before the pay-per-view. We have Alexander Volkov versus Georgino Rosen streak. They don't have really any of the fight card planned out as of right now. Dan Ige, Movsar Evlov was announced. What other fights we got here? Joe Solecki, Alex De Silva. Regular fight night, man. They leave. I mean, check like all these fights. No clue what they're going to make a co-main event. Maybe Dan Ige, and then UFC 275. Just listen to. We're just going to go over what we would think of is going to be the prelims, right? Like, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just say those are the biggest fights. Here are the fights that are going to be on the prelims that are not going to be on a fight night, not going to co-main a fight night because they're going to be on a prelims of a pay-per-view card. Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. Okay, Jake Matthews versus Andre Fijalo. Brandon Allen versus Jacob Malkoon. Orion Kosi versus Mike Mathea. I mean, this is honestly, Marvin Vettori is also supposed to be on the card, but honestly, out of all the pay-per-views of this year, this is probably one of the least depth-worthy of cards coming up, UFC 275. But anyway, stay tuned. Stay barbecued. We'll be back in 15 minutes for the NBA shit. Till next Tuesday, guys. Holla at me.